Previously on the Pro Wrestling Power podcast.
If only there was a game I could play with someone else who just enjoyed these classic games just as much as me. Who are you? Wait, how did you get here?
Don't worry about it. I got a game you gotta play if you're not an idiot. Saturday Night Slam Masters for the Super NES.
I guess we might as well since you're already here.
So, Saturday Night Slam Masters for Super NES. It's Capcom, so it's gotta be good. Come on, guy, just pick up the controls so I can lay the smackdown on these guys with you. Okay, man. Don't gotta be pushy about it. Yeah, I'll pick this guy right here. Come on, get him. What are you doing? Hit the pin. Come on, hit the pin, guy. Let's go.
You know, this was a huge mistake. I never should have brought you here.
You brought me here? Who do you think you are, like H.G. Wells or something? Come on, guy. You literally messed with your computer. The thing blew up. You fell, hit your head on the floor. And you thought you brought me here for some weird parallel dimension or something? Don't make me laugh. Come on now. I'm not even here. It's all in your head, Joe.
Holy crap. He wasn't here. That means I'm not here either. Oh man. Oh, my head. Oh man. Jeez, what happened?
Yeah, we're all in your head, Joe. There's more in here than you think.
What?
Yeah. When the time is right and the madness takes over, more of us will come. Yeah.
Oh my god. It was a dream, alright?
I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time of the week again when the Pro Wrestling Power podcast brings you the best in what happened in the week of professional wrestling. That's right. This is Shane Wildcat Parsons with you, bringing you the best in, oh, look at it over there, what happened this week on Monday Night Raw. Well, it starts out with one of the best things in professional wrestling that's going on in all of it this week. Randy Orton is in the ring. They're supposed to have a no-holds-barred match between him and Matt Hardy. If you saw what happened last week, Matt's in rough shape. He comes out in a neck brace. He said he's not going to be cleared to wrestle, but he don't care. Randy does a really good job playing the psychology of both sides. He apologizes for what he's done. He looks like he's actually feeling a little bit sorry. He starts to walk away. And of course, Matt Hardy, well, Randy tried to kill him last week. and he wasn't having Randy walking away. So he grabs a chair and he's like, let's do this anyway. Well, it appeared something snapped in Randy's head, which it's great that he's finally actually playing the character that his title song says he is. And he decides to try to apparently finish the job this week. So he RKO's Matt, takes off the neck brace, and does the concerto on the ring steps. This looked brutal. A lot of people, it's just well done. If this is how we're writing Matt Hardy off TV, it's very, very well done. This is the best that Randy Orton's looked in a long time. I care. I want to see who Randy's going to try to kill next. It does have me intrigued. So, then we have Aleister Black versus Eric Rowan. Two people that have been kind of... Aleister Black's been in this weird promo territory, beating up jobbers. Eric Rowan's been in kind of the same territory. He's got the cage with the thing in it. We don't know what's in it yet. We don't find out this week. I mean, for a seemingly random matchup, though, it was a good match. And they kept both of them strong with the finish. Eric Rowan lost after two black masses instead of just one, so it worked out. And then, like, the weirdest, most awkward part of the night for me, Charlotte comes out, and she gives this promo. She talks about going down, and she's wearing black and yellow, you know, the NXT colors. She's talking about, you know, she's gonna show Rhea Ripley who's boss, and then she's like, I don't like Rhea Ripley. Basically because she's never had to fight and claw and scrap and earn things. And I'm like, really? Somebody with the last name Flair, with all the opportunities you've been given? This is the most tone-deaf promo I think I hope that she didn't... I hope this was a script they gave her. I really, really do. Because nobody's going to believe that Charlotte Flair had to fight, add scratch, and claw to earn her spot on the roster. Or to get championship opportunities. Because, you know, Flair. We've seen the same thing with Roman Reigns. Apparently it pays to have a family member in the business. But, I don't know. If they were trying to get heat, it worked. But it's just a really tone-deaf promo. I didn't buy it. Never gonna buy it. Then the weirdness of the 24/7 title match continues. R-Truth, Mojo Rawley, Riddick Moss. It's like a 2-minute match. And Riddick Moss retains, leaves through the crowd, and R-Truth beats the mess out of Mojo after the match for whatever reason he decided to. Why not? Which leads us to more of the brilliant booking of Drew McIntyre. It's a great segment. He's just being goofy and showing a side of his personality that he hasn't shown yet, and I'm loving every bit of it. He says he's not going to point at the WrestleMania sign because Charlotte's already done that. So he does his countdown, and he gets the crowd to point at the WrestleMania sign. It's just like this silly, goofy, you know, he looks like he could beat everybody up, so let's show this other part of his personality. Of course, Paul Heyman comes out and he's, you know, hyping Brock Lesnar, and he keeps saying the name. Kind of cool, it's fun to say at times. But, of course, MVP comes out to wrestle instead because, you know, Brock doesn't work every week. It's a problem for some fans, but he's a draw. It is what it is, guys. And Drew beats MVP in less than 2 minutes. It's quick work. So the brilliance of this build continues. I'm entirely invested. Becky Lynch is talking, and she brought cash. A bag full of cash, saying that she's going to get fined for how bad she's going to beat up Shayna Baszler. Which is kind of brilliant. I kind of like the Stone Cold Becky Lynch. She had gotten stale as a character. So we're doing something cool. We're doing something creative. I want to see where it goes. I'm still not completely invested in it, but she, like I said, she was getting a little stale. She needed to do something. Then, of course, Baszler cuts the promo saying that she's going to win the cage match because she's a cage fighter. Okay. And then she says a dirty word. But she's going to beat the out of Becky. And that's what everybody's talking about. How dare she say a dirty word on Raw? Somebody had their head bashed by a chair against a metal stair earlier in the show, but we're talking about a dirty word. Yay, people. Back to good things. Angel Garza and Lashley versus Rusev and Humberto. Hey, Rusev made it back. He's still a bad guy, apparently. Still not sure how that works. Really good back and forth match, though. There's some goofy spots. Garza removes his pants, throws them in Rusev's face, and then gets kissed by somebody at ringside. Then wins with the tight pull roll up of Rusev. So he cheats to win, and our hero Rusev keeps losing. Then the Kabuki Warriors come out, Kairi Sane and Asuka, to mess with Natalya some more, because I hope this leads to something. Please let it lead to something. Because Asuka and Kairi are way too talented. I mean, even coming to the ring, the promo that they cut, it's just, they're really getting together. Asuka's like fake apologizing for kicking Natalya in the face and blacking her eye. And they're just laughing it off. But, I mean, why is this all they get to do? Please let it lead somewhere. They're too talented for this, dare I say it, mid-card hell that they're stuck in. But Kairi Sane was fighting Natalya this week. She's in the about to be put in the sharpshooter, about to lose. Asuka jumps up on the side of the ring, and Natalya, rather than win the match, decides to go mess with Asuka. So, makes not a lot of sense. Natalya gets kicked in the face. Kairi Sane wins by countout. So what are we going? What are we doing with this? I'm confused at times. Raw is overall such a good show, but there's moments where you just scratch your head. Seth Rollins has this confusing promo. It's supposed to be a sermon, if you will. He's about to kick off phase 2 of his plan, which apparently means just recruiting more people. It sets up a 6-man tag later. And then we have the return of the prior injured AJ Styles. And heel AJ Styles is brilliant. It's been great. He comes out to the ring and he's like, I'm the best performer in any place, anytime, anywhere, any company. Get over it. It's reality. He's talking about he's going to win the gauntlet match, and whoever the champion is, he starts running down names, and Undertaker gets thrown in there for some reason. Maybe is that foreshadowing? But he says he's gonna win regardless because he's the best. Which, in-ring performer, he's in the argument. Of course, he mentions in that rundown, he mentions Ricochet. And of course, because it's wrestling and you mention somebody's name, they have to come out. Ricochet comes down and AJ's like, oh, I was kidding. I didn't really think you could actually win the belt because, you're fighting Brock and you're Ricochet. It sets up Ricochet versus Carl Anderson, which of course, to build Ricochet to make the match against Brock convincing, Ricochet wins with a cool looking like fireman's carry knee kick thing that he needs to keep using. I liked it. It was convincing. And then I get it. They're the biggest heel group on the show with the 6-man tag to end it. It's Owens and the Viking Raiders versus AOP and Murphy. It's 15 minutes and it's pretty solid. The typical 6-man tag stuff. And of course, it's a heel group, so Seth Rollins comes down. He stomps Kevin Owens, and then he starts running, like, talking about crucifying Kevin Owens, and I'm like, okay, we're getting weird. But the Street Profits, yes, the Street Profits still exist. They don't just do backstage segments anymore, but they came out to make the save on Kevin Owens. And can we find more to do with the 6 men at the end of the show? Can we get to the next segment in this program? Because it like Becky Lynch was. This is getting stale. I know you gotta. And it's been a little weird because Samoa Joe apparently got hurt while filming a commercial. Not sure how you do that, and they've had to scramble a little bit with it. But I want to see after the Super Showdown what they do with this, where it goes, where it leads. And that leads us to going to be talking about SmackDown here in a little bit. So hang on and hold on tight.
It's Saturday night, and anything goes. In Saturday Night Slam Masters, the huge arcade hit now coming to Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. 24 megs big, Saturday Night Slam Masters features 10 colorful wrestlers, each one more off-the-wall awesome than the last, and each with their own special and secret moves for experienced gamers to discover. With 2 modes of play, single match and team battle royal, up to 4 players can go to the mat in Saturday Night Slam Masters.
Hey guys, this is Shane Wildcat Parsons coming back at you with the review of SmackDown this week. And there's a lot of talk. A whole lot of talk. I think there's 3 matches throughout the whole show, so let's get into it. The Usos have an opening promo. They're talking about their 8-man tag teammates that come in. The New Day, of course, they were mentioned, so they got to walk down. They start jawing back and forth, interrupted by Miz and Morrison. And then, of course, Dolph and Bobby Roode come out, and there's some talking, and then it's a wrestling show, and it's amazing when a wrestling match actually breaks out. So, something WWE always does really well is these 8-man tag matches. Big E and Morrison were brilliant. The 2 of them in the ring, they have great chemistry. I seriously want this to be a high-level feud. Like, that deserves to be... Almost deserves to be a WrestleMania, like, main event level feud. They're really that good together. Go back, watch it. Big E eats a shining wizard that Morrison hits him with, and it just looks like the most brutal thing in the world. So go back, rewatch this match. It was a highlight of SmackDown for probably the past 2 months, if I'm being fair. Of course, there's only one way this could have ended. Bobby Roode, who's the glorious one, hasn't had a real glorious time of late. He's lost a lot. He eats the pinfall. One of the Usos. I forgot to write down the name. I'm bad. I know. And then the weird glitchy thing continues from last week. Killer Cross, maybe? Ali? Who we got? It's a little more defined. It kind of looks like they ripped off the whole Iron Man pulsar ray in the hand thing. Blue circle. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who you think that represents. Who you think that could be. And who you think that their first feud's going to be whenever that person does show up. We got Gulak and Daniel Bryan backstage. And Gulak's like, look, man, you're having some issues. I'm agreeing with Heath. I've got a PowerPoint presentation to show you how you can get better. How we can fix this for you. And everybody knows PowerPoint makes everything better. Heath Slater shows up again, apparently hasn't learned his lesson from last week, and it sets up a match. Drew versus Daniel Bryan versus Heath Slater, and that's going to happen later in the show. Now, we have another backstage segment. The word of the week is interview. Sonya and Mandy Rose are backstage, and an angry Tucker demanding answers for his boy Otis. Says Otis is devastated, and honestly, so am I. But Mandy's like, she says she was excited for the date with Otis, and got a text saying that he would be there late, and that's why she went ahead and whatever with Dolph, and Sonya's acting all mysterious. So there's intrigue and suspense built into this whole storyline that I really shouldn't care about, but I do. Because you're my boy, Otis. And surprise, surprise, we have another interview. Lacey Evans and Renee Young. They talk about bullying a lot. Renee says, but Lacey, you were recently a bully. And she goes through this explanation about how she learned her lesson by seeing Bayley and Sasha Banks. And it's a good moment trying to make us care about babyface Lacey Evans. Then we get the wrestling highlight of the night, which is few and far between. The Symphony of Destruction match. Basically what happens when you have a no-holds-barred match between Braun, Elias, Nakamura, Cesaro, and a bunch of musical instruments around the ring. At one point in time, Cesaro is in the middle of a drum. The finish actually looked kind of painful. I'm not sure if the piano was supposed to collapse or not. But Braun power slams Nakamura onto a piano. And it looks brutal. And I'm just ow. Just ow. Then go watch it. I don't want to give too many spots away. Because it was funny. It was everything a wrestling match should be. Especially no holds barred. Hardcore matches can be fun. That's what I've learned. Every once in a while, you can get them right. And these are 4 great performers. Then another interview. This time it's Baron Corbin. And he says, Roman Reigns has never beat me clean. He's never beat me one-on-one. And I seem to remember he did at the Royal Rumble not less than a month ago. But you go believe in what you believe, Baron. Whatever continues, the feud that does not end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. They started feuding, and this is just what it is. It's terrible. Then we get another wrestling match. Imagine that. On a wrestling show. Daniel Bryan and against Heath Slater with Drew Gulak backstage. Or on commentary. Wow. There's been so many backstage segments, I confused myself. Bryan wins again in less than 2 minutes. And this seems like one of those scary moments when you're not sure if WWE actually knows what to do with Daniel Bryan. Like, he just had that great title match against The Fiend, and now he's kind of in, like, booking limbo. And this is how we've had so many Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan matches at WrestleMania. Good matches. I just hope we don't get a repeat. Nah. There's Dolph Ziggler, Mandy Rose backstage. She's leaving before the show's over. Dolph's just going to happen to drive away. And he offers her a ride. And of course, Otis sees all this because he's backstage. Because of course. And it looks... Hopefully they don't go with creepy stalker Otis. I want him to stay the good guy. I want him to stay sympathetic. Please, can we do that? I think the whole story just works out better. Then another glitch. We get awkward kind of promos with Sheamus and Apollo Crews. Sheamus is like, I'm done with Shorty G. We've been there. I kicked his butt. It's over. Let's move on. And then Of course, Apollo Crews is backstage with Shorty G, and he's like, I'm going to take care of this Sheamus problem. So, who knows where we're going from here. Then we have Naomi and Carmella for the number 1 contenders match at the Super Saudi Showdown. Pretty good back and forth. I thought that Bayley would cost Naomi the match somehow, so we would wait till WrestleMania. But alas, it doesn't happen. We get Naomi and Bayley at Super Showdown for the women's title. Then we get, for a lot of old school fans, it was one of the highlights of the night. And the crowd popped huge for him when he comes out. Bill Goldberg. Everybody knows he's going to be wrestling The Fiend in Saudi Arabia for the Universal Championship. And he's super over. The crowd's chanting his name. It feels like late 90s WCW all over again. Especially with all the talking and the booking earlier in the show. It actually kind of really does. Ugh. Nostalgia can be bad sometimes too. Anyway, he's talking. And of course, the Firefly Funhouse segment kicks off. Bray Wyatt's introducing Goldberg to all the puppets and all the people that are on the show. Who knew Rambling Rabbit is a Goldberg fan? Well, was a Goldberg fan. Rambling Rabbit has been brutally murdered for his fandom. Poor bunny. And this, we'll play a sad song for him later. Maybe. He's a trooper. But this all leads to The Fiend. The lights go out and The Fiend's in the ring. And Goldberg's like, okay, so The Fiend's in the ring. I like the no-sell of the fear, being scared of him, all the psychological work and everything. Goldberg spears him. And The Fiend sells it. And he's actually like, Fiend in trouble kind of moment. The lights go back out and he's not in the ring anymore. And we have this moment of thought. Goldberg could actually win in Saudi Arabia. I don't think it'll happen. It's going to be Reigns and The Fiend at WrestleMania, and they'll probably put the belt back on Roman. I don't like that booking decision. It needs to stay on Fiend for a little while longer. He's the best thing on SmackDown. Anyway, we're about to step on over to Retro Joe and see what's going on in the world of AEW. Thank you, like and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to this week of NWA Power. Wait, there is no Power this week. Something odd is going on. Oh, that's right. This week is the premiere episode of the Circle Squared, where indie wrestlers apply and put on a match to become part of the NWA Power roster. So, Circle Squared this week. Interesting. So, this competition's nothing new. WWE used to have a thing called Tough Enough, if you remember. They used to have guys come in, see if they can make it in the ring, maybe get a contract. So NWA is doing the same thing. Not anything new, but kind of fun. So this week we had one match on Circle Squared. We had PJ and Luke Hawx versus Dean and Neil with special legendary manager Nikita Koloff. Yes, you heard that right. Nikita Koloff came out as the manager of Dean and Neil for this match. And the first thing I thought when I was watching this, I was like, oh man, Nikita Koloff, that's pretty cool. But anyways, PJ and Luke Hawx are a father and son team. They have pretty good work on the mic because they had like promos they came out and did at the very beginning for each one of the contestants. So the father and son team, good idea. On the mic, the father is amazing. Son needs a little bit of work, but hey, he'll get there. As for their in-ring work, I thought PJ and Luke Hawx were amazing. They were a good babyface team that sold the whole idea on, the son's a bit inexperienced and father had to come in and save the day. And that's exactly what happened. I really didn't see any botched moves on this. They put on a pretty good match. The heels had the legendary Nikita Koloff as a manager, which helped out in their favor. They had a little bit of heel drama going on to try to win the match. They were pretty good on the mic as well, not as good as the father and the PJ and Luke Hawx team. Hawx will take the win in this match, and I gave this match a 8 years out of 10. I want to before I go off on the next on AEW Dynamite here. I want to mention the competition going on. So NWA put out this mini contest where you could be on NWA Power as a reactionary person on their episode next week. So I submitted my reaction to NWA Power. So hopefully I get selected. You might see the Pro Wrestling Power podcast in a small window on the screen next week on NWA Power. That's all I have this week for Circle Squared. I don't know who's coming next on the next episode of this, and I don't know when that episode's going to be because they haven't really said. But yeah, should be pretty cool. We'll see which indies can make the cut. By the way, 8-Bit Eric, send in that application. That's all this week for NWA. Now let's take it to Dynamite.
Hey guys, welcome back. Time to talk about AEW Dynamite for this week. We have a few matches to discuss here tonight. Some big matches, some highs, some lows. Like I said before, you can't always have a winner. Last week was really amazing. It was a really amazing show. This week, there was a couple of not so good matches. So let's get right into it so we can find out what happened on TNT. Match 1 of the night was a tag team battle royale. Now this is a tag team battle royal that's supposed to set up who's going to face the current tag team champions at Revolution. Now, as y'all may be aware of, the Inner Circle has this goal where they want to take all the gold. So I kind of figured from the beginning that Santana and Ortiz was going to make it to the final like 4, which was true and did happen. The teams in this match were the Young Bucks, SCU, TH2, Jurassic Express, Butcher and the Blade, the Best Friends, Private Party, Shima and T-Hawk, Dark Order featuring Silver and Reynolds, and Santana and Ortiz. So, like before in a lot of these battle royals that AEW's tried, they're all over the place, guys. They're really messy, not really organized. It's hard to watch these, honestly. I generally don't rate these very well because they haven't figured out how to perfect these things. Like I said before, I figured Santana and Ortiz was going to make it to the Final 4, which they did. Matt Jackson made it to the very end with Santana and Ortiz, and they had this little story wwhere maybe Santana and Ortiz is going to rough them up and take them out of the ring, whatever. But yeah, no, Matt Jackson stayed. He won the match. He took them both out. The only really note I wanted to talk about on this one was Trent of the Best Friends. He got thrown over and was saved by Orange Cassidy via the, land on the shoulder, New Day type situation. Yeah, I didn't really care for that. I don't like them copying like that. They need to figure out their own way to do it and make it good. So, anyways, I gave this match a rating 6 years out of 10. Match 2 for the night. We have Chris Statlander versus Shauna. Another not so good one. So AEW Dynamite for this week started out very, very not so great. Statlander, I love this girl. She's amazing. I'm looking forward to what she can do in the ring. She's got this whole persona where she's an alien from another planet, and she comes out of the ring, goes boop on the nose to everybody. She's over with the crowd. Don't get me wrong, she is over with the crowd. But I don't know what happened in this one. Her and Shauna, not so good. Chris did take the win, but Chris was basically like, I don't know if it was Shauna's fault or Chris's fault, but she was not selling moves at all. Chris was not selling moves. I don't know what happened on this one. I gave this one a 4 out of 10. The only thing to talk about really on this match was, so Nyla Rose came out at the end of this one when Chris was walking back up the ramp. Nyla came out with the belt. The only thing I have to say on this was, so Chris walks up, she goes to do the boop on the nose like she does everybody, but she boops the belt. So they're selling a storyline where Chris is going to be going for the women's title. The only thing I can tell you about this was when Nyla did come out, there were massive, massive boos from the audience. So, like we've said before, our job on the Pro Wrestling Power podcast is to report the news. We don't take sides. We don't get into, social problems in society when it comes to things like this with Nyla and all that. But we don't really get into it. We get into, are the matches good? Are they believable? Are the storylines good? And am I entertained? So, yeah, the crowd booed her massively. So I don't know how they're going to write the storyline with her. We'll see. We'll see. Match 3 of the night. This was the setup from previous when we had Jon Moxley was basically he's going in Revolution to fight Chris Jericho for the title. So Mox every week has been taking out the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle's been retaliating against him. So we had Jeff Cobb last week come out and give Moxley a tour of the islands, after the beat down from the Inner Circle. So yeah. It was an okay match. He fought Jeff Cobb this week, Mox did. It was the standard heel situation. Mox was the smaller guy, Jeff Cobb was the newcomer, but he's the big beast monster. Yeah, he was beating him down most of the match. And Mox, miraculously comes back and wins via a small package pin. After the match, it happened just again. Inner Circle ran in there, started beating down Mox again to, cut him down before we get to the pay-per-view and the title match. But this time, something different happens. So, when the beatdown starts, we have Dustin and Darby Allin come to the rescue. Now, if you've been watching the show before, Darby Allin's got a storyline set up with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle hit him in the throat with a skateboard. Sammy Guevara, in general, did this to him. So, yeah, Darby has got some revenge planned on Sammy. On Sammy, the Spanish god, Sammy Guevara. Yeah, I gave this match a rating. It was okay. It didn't blow me away. I gave it 6 years out of 10. Match 4 for the night was the title match for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So we had the Lucha Brothers versus Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Ooh. Wait, you think I'm going to say something bad? No, I'm not going to say something bad. This was a great match. This was another, back and forth, amazing false pin, not knowing what's going to happen, with the whole Hangman Adam Page is kind of like not playing well with the Elite, but surprisingly enough, yep, they held on to the titles. They did the double finisher like last week with the V-trigger and the buckshot lariat. Great match, man. It was a great one. But Lucha Bros, they can sell anybody. They can sell anybody. So yeah, I loved it. I gave this match 9 years out of 10. So go watch that one. That was a great one. Not all the matches were bad, I told you. Final match of the night. This was the match I was looking for all week. This was the first AEW Steel Cage match. Now, wow. I didn't know what to expect out of this one. I was like, okay, they've done their battle royals. They don't go over so well, Okay, they've had some hardcore matches. They're all right. No, now they have the steel cage. Now we're going to the steel cage. So, Cody versus Wardlow with the steel cage. This is stipulation number 3 for Cody to fight MJF at Revolution. He's not supposed to touch him till then. So far, he hasn't. He has to take 10 lashes from MJF. Did it. Now he has to fight Wardlow in the steel cage. That was number 3. Does he do it? Yes, he does. And was it good? Oh my goodness, yes, it was good. Wow. There was one point where Wardlow throws Cody against the cage and busts the top of his face open and just blood just comes down. It was a great match. When they lowered the cage down, it was like, oh my goodness. It looked like, almost like, if y'all ever seen that movie, Ready to Rumble, when it was coming down and all the flashy lights are in, it was slow motion. It looked like that. It was awesome, like a movie. I really, really liked it. There's a couple of notes I'm gonna go over in a minute here. Cody will take the win via moonsault from the top of the cage, way up top. Wow, it was an awesome move. It looked great. The notes on this one: MJF did try to turn Arn Anderson because Arn did come down with Cody because he's their trainer. Yeah, he tried to turn him. Cody, they knocked the door open at one point, and Cody's head was sitting there sticking out, and MJF tried to get Arn to slam it on Cody's face. Of course, Arn's not going to do that. He slams it right back in MJF's face. Hilarious. The second spot was you had. Let's see, what was the second one? I don't want to forget. I'm trying to remember all this because it was so much. You had the spot with the diamond ring that MJF wears that he won on that diamond competition. So he tried to give it to Wardlow. Nothing happens with it. Cody takes it from Wardlow. Boom, hits Wardlow with it. Third spot, MJF climbs the side of the cage, tries to distract Cody. Brandy runs up, hits MJF with the chair. MJF drops, cocks back to hit Brandy. Is he going to hit him? He might. He's super heel. Does not hit him. Arn grabs him and throws him in the crowd. MJF loses his mind. Ooh, man. It was great. It was a great match. Like I said again, 9 years out of 10. And that was the final match of the night. Now, before we go, there's something we need to talk about. So, there's been super trolling on who the Exalted One is. Now, some people want to know who I think it is. If you don't know who that is, Exalted One is the mystery leader of the Dark Order. Now, before there was no real leader, then they brought storyline where there was a higher power, an Exalted One. Yeah, so, okay, here's the thing. Everybody thinks it's going to be Matt Hardy as maybe a broken version of Matt Hardy. Everyone thinks it's going to be this. Now, if you hadn't watched close Twitter and all these things, Raven was actually in the crowd this last Dynamite. Okay. So that got a lot of people thinking like, maybe it's Raven. It would be great if it was Matt Hardy. The timeline matches perfectly. They're delaying saying who the Exalted One is. They're trolling. AEW is trolling everyone because there are multiple people that they're trolling it to be. And all these people, even though they work for different companies, it seems like they're all in on the joke. Like Matt Hardy is definitely, if it's a joke, if it's a troll, Matt Hardy's definitely in on it because if you've been watching Matt Hardy's YouTube videos lately, he's been putting little hints out there of AEW and Ring of Honor and Impact and NWA Power too. So yeah, Matt Hardy's trolling everyone on this because the timelines are matching too perfectly. Now after this last night, after this last Dynamite here, now AEW themselves on their Twitter account, is putting it, oh, Raven was there, what's up? Because Raven's known as a good talker in the business. So if y'all remember Raven's Nest and all that stuff he used to do way back in ECW and WCW, it's possible. So who do I think it's going to be? I think we're going to find out on one of two moments here. If Revolution goes past midnight on the pay-per-view, legally they can introduce Matt Hardy. If it is Matt Hardy. Another scenario is March the 4th, the Dynamite following it, or March the 3rd, I should say. The next Dynamite, first Dynamite in March, we'll see who it is for sure. It's either going to be at the very end of Revolution if the pay-per-view goes past midnight. Here's the thing: if you're watching the pay-per-view and it does if it does go past midnight, and you're watching your watch, legally, with all these things going on, it's going to be Matt Hardy. If nothing happens on Revolution, then you got to drop it out to it probably ain't Matt Hardy. It may be Raven. You'll find out on Dynamite for sure on that March 3rd show. So who do I think it's going to be? If I had to bet money, I'm gonna really bet my money on. It's really hard to do this because I want to pick somebody. I want to be right on this. So I really want it to be Matt Hardy. That would be amazing because Dark Order needs a good push because they're not so good. If I had to bet on it, I'm gonna have to bet Raven. Honestly, he's a cheaper buy. He can still push them in a good way. I'd have to go with Raven. Even though I really want Matt Hardy to be my top pick. No, I'm not going to pick Jim Cornette, even though there's a racket in the Exalted One's office in the corner. No, can't go there. Sorry, it's not going to be him. That's a super troll move. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoy the show. I hope you enjoyed my rambling. Sometimes I go on a little bit, but I just like to talk about wrestling because I love it so much. And just remember to keep it retro. See you next time.